Ladies and gentlemen, it's about damn time. Welcome back to Story Time. Yes, that is right. The long-awaited series that I've had on this channel for a really long time now is back. Yes, it's not going to be as frequent. I tried to do these every single week, but I kind of ran out of stories because of the whole quarantining thing and just not being able to go and do anything. Makes it so it's very, very difficult for anything in the world to happen to me. Now, a lot of people who watch these tell me that I make up these stories or they're not true. I promise you, everything that I have told you in any of these story times has either directly happened to me or happened to my friends or happened around me. These are real things that have happened. And today is actually a story that I told on stream a couple of days ago. It is the story of the world's worst teacher. Now, this story actually starts over 26 years ago before I was born, because my mom and my uncle actually went to the same high school that I went to when I was in high school, and they happened to have this exact same teacher. So obviously this teacher is older, or it was older, because I happen to know that she is now retired. And I know for a fact that for the most part, I had most female teachers, and I liked, generally speaking, the female teachers better than the male teachers. They were just better teachers. This was not the case with this teacher. Now, you may be wondering, why does this story start 26 years ago, well before I was in high school, before I was even born, in fact? And that is because my uncle actually had the same teacher. Now, this is an old teacher, so we'll just call her Miss Senior. It just makes it easy that way. That way I don't have to give up her name. Now, as far as this teacher goes, my uncle had her, and at the time, she was married to Mr. Senior. And by the time I had her, she was married to other Mrs. Senior, if you catch my drift. Now, this really doesn't have anything to do with the story other than the fact that she hated men. I don't know if it was because of her husband. I don't know if it's because of something that happened to her in the past. I don't judge her thoughts, but she legitimately hated men. You'll see why throughout the stories. So first of all, my uncle was in her class. He just went away to spring break. He went to Aruba, and while he was there, he got a t-shirt that said "Fun in the Sun" or something like that, and then a girl looking off into the distance in a beach with no top on, but she's looking away. You can't see any boobie, you can't see any titty, nothing like that. It's just her back not wearing a bikini. So he wore it to school. Nobody had a problem with it. He went into her class and she flipped out on him to the point where she sent him down to the principal's office and told the principal that my uncle should be expelled for wearing that t-shirt. Now, is the t-shirt inappropriate? Yeah, kind of, but it doesn't show anything. It's not that bad. Nobody else had any problems with it. She just did. So the principal's just like, listen, I can't expel him for wearing a t-shirt. I'll just tell him to change into his gym clothes and then not to wear the shirt back to the school again. That's probably how the teacher, Mrs. Senior, should have reacted in the first place, but of course she's nuts, so she didn't do that. So going into her class, I was in her class in 5th year. She taught kinesiology, and basically I was taking that class because I knew I was going to school to either be a paramedic or a firefighter, and I wanted some background in the human body, so I took the class. Just so happened that she took it. So I talked to my uncle, and he warned me about her. He said, listen, you're going to have a rough time in her class, not because the class is hard, and the class really wasn't hard, but rather because she's insane. And I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. He told me the story about his Aruba t-shirt, and we go to her class. Lo and behold, she is bonkers. She is straight up bananas. So to start out, before I was even in her class, I was in 5th year. And if you're wondering what 5th year is, normally you're in high school for 4 years, but the way it used to work is you could go back for a 5th year either to make it so you raise your grades, or 2, to make it so that you can just play sports for another year. That's why I was there. I wanted to play hockey, I wanted to play football, I wanted to play rugby, and I could do that for an extra year if I went back to high school. My parents were okay with it. I wanted to save up money working for college anyway, and that's what I did. So in this year, she decided that our school mascot was inappropriate. Now, our school mascot was an Indian, a native, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to try to find a picture from it and put it on screen here, but this was the mascot. It was an Indian head. And she said that this was inappropriate, it was wrong for native people, and we needed to change it. So yeah, this is a whole thing that's going on in the world right now. whatever, our school went with it. They went, okay, we'll change it. And what we'll do is we'll send out a contest for all of the students to draw a new logo for our school and with the same school colors, and we'll remake our logo. So they did that. A student drew a logo, and it was essentially a bandit. We were the Renegades, was what our logo was. And it was a bandit. I think it was wearing a cowboy hat and had a bandana over its face. And everything was cool. In fact, our school was getting a new gym floor. So they got a new gym floor, and they put the logo right in the middle of the gym floor, right where you go for the jump ball in basketball. And all was good. Except about 2 weeks later, after the gym floor was put in, Miss Senior goes, whoa, 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 whoa. This logo is also inappropriate. And everyone's like, why? Like, what is wrong with this now? And she goes, well, this one has a bandana over its mouth. Clearly, this is representing gang culture. No, you didn't hear me wrong. So she fought it. She took it to like city council over the principal's head and made our principal now pay for another new gym floor with the exact same logo, but this time without a bandana. I'm going to try to find all of these logos. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the one with the bandana, but just that was step one into her insanity. So as we took her class, we slowly started to realize that she just didn't like men. She treated all of the females in her class very nicely, and for the most part, she was fine. But if you did anything wrong or you went just slightly out of line, she would lose it on a dude, whereas for a woman, a female, a girl, I don't know what you want to call them, she would just be like, oh, it's okay, don't do it next time. So a perfect example of this is a guy who was in my class with me. He was one of my really good friends. He needed a 95 in his class. He wanted to go to school to be a doctor, and he needed a 95 in this class. When he started the class, he went, sat her aside and said, listen, I need a really good mark in this class. I'm going to try really hard. I need a 95. And basically, he was set up pretty nicely until the very end, where he found out that he basically had to get 100% on the final exam to get a 95 in the class. So she knew he needed a 95. He knew he needed a 95. So they talked to each other, and she's like, you need 100% on this final exam. So he studied his ass off, writ the exam. He came out of it. He's like, dude, I got the 100%. I knew everything on the test. I nailed it. We get our tests back. Lo and behold, 98%. In one of the written answers, she tried to say that he did it wrong and didn't get it because she didn't want him getting into school because he's a dude. My friend had to take it to the principal, show the principal, explain why he got the answer right, and eventually she was forced to give him the marks, and he got his 95 and got into his program. Now, this isn't the peak of the insanity, though. The peak of the insanity is we had her first period, first thing in the morning, and she had this insane policy that if you were late for her class, you'd have to write her a note saying why you were late. Now, keep in mind, we were 18 at the time. We were adults. So she couldn't do this. It's an invasion of privacy. What if I was a chick and actually, you know what? We're going to get into that. But the point is one morning I decided to sleep in, and my mom knocks on my door because that's what she did every day before high school, and goes, hey, Corey, you going into first period this morning? And I go, nah, Mom, I'm not feeling great. I'm just going to sleep in. I'm going to go in at lunch because I had a spare second period anyway, so I was just skipping one class. And she's just like, okay, cool. She goes to work. I get a call from my mom at lunch as I'm going back into school, and she goes, hey, Miss Senior called me to tell me that you weren't in class. I told her that she's insane for calling me and that you're an 18-year-old and can make your own decisions. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom. You're the best. And anyway, she was mad about that. She pulled me aside the next day and goes, your mom seemed to know that you were skipping class. I'm like, yeah, I worked the night before till midnight. I was tired. I have an 85 or 90 in your class. It's not a big deal if I miss a day. And she's like, well, it is a big deal. And all this insanity. So this goes on and on and on. And every once in a while, we were late for first period, so you had to write a note. So one day, I was in school on time, and my buddies were late. So my first buddy shows up, writes his note, and he writes, sorry, I'm Batman. I was busy saving the world. Hands it to her. She doesn't read it. She puts it on her desk. My other buddy comes after, and I guess my one buddy texted my other buddy, told him what he said. So my next friend writes down, by the way, this is the same buddy as the Cuba story, if you've heard that one. He writes down on his note, sorry, I'm Robin. I was cleaning up Batman's mess. So we get to a work period part of our class, and she reads the notes in class, and from silence, literally everyone in the class silence, she screams, you two, out in the hall. Lo and behold, she tries to get them expelled for this. So They leave. She comes back, and I'm like, I text them going, dude, what the hell happened? What was that all about? So they text me what they wrote on their notes, and she comes back in the class, and I am dying laughing. I think this is hilarious. I am dying laughing. And she just goes, why do you think this is so funny? In like a snarky kind of voice. And I just go, well, I guess you could call me the Joker. And nobody in the class understood what was going on except me and her. And I'm dying laughing. No one in the class knows why I'm laughing. She sends me now to the office to get expelled. And we explain the whole thing to the principal. We go, she has this insane policy where you have to write a note to her telling you why you were late and all of this kind of stuff. And we wrote a BS note and handed it to her. And the principal goes, well, first of all, she can't do that. She can't force you to tell why they're late. Like, for example, after this occurrence, she kept the policy, even though the principal told her not to. And after this, she then like stopped reading them. I don't know, but because like I started to write like, sorry, it's my time of the month, heavy flow kind of day, had to deal with it. And she never had a problem with that. But like, imagine if that was like your actual reason for being late, or like something happened to someone in your family and she's now forcing you to tell her about it. She was bananas. Anyway, she tried to get us expelled. We didn't get expelled. I believe she actually ended up getting in trouble with the principal for this. And the year after we left, she retired. And thank God, because she was just bananas, man. I don't even know what to say. She just didn't like us. She didn't like guys. And it was very, very clear that she didn't. And, that's not equality. I'm all about the equality. So that's what I got for you today. That's the story of the worst teacher ever. Hopefully it lived up to the hype. I know it's been forever. I'll try to think of some more stories to tell, or if I tell some more on stream, I'll bring them to you guys. But as always, if you want to see more like this, hit the like button, subscribe, all of that jazz. Thank you for watching. Until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this to